21-7 Colts victory over the Texans. It felt like it was a bigger margin of defeat. The Colts really did control this game from start to finish. I thought that the Colts, when you look back at it, I thought the Colts offense did a really nice job, and they still only scored 21. But their Andrew Luck-led scary offense, the offensive line, wasn't as good as people think, but Luck was spectacular, and that offense could be scary.
Yeah, they scored them all in the first half, though, right? They were like 21-0.
Yeah, that's part of it. They didn't score. The Texans' defense did a pretty nice job in the second half. In the first half, you could see, and I did tweet about this on Saturday, the Texans, J.J. Watt got inside pressure a couple times. Clowney got inside pressure, or the Texans would stunt up front, and Luck did a fantastic job of getting outside the pocket. The Texans did a very poor job of playing contain with their pass rush lanes. Luck would get outside the pocket, where he's dangerous inside or outside, and he made a few big throws there. And then in crunch time, corner route along the sideline. Luck, this was one of the best games he played all season, one of the best quarterbacks performances we've seen all season.
Yeah, we highlighted one of the sort of matchups to watch heading into this game was T.Y. Hilton going up against Kareem Jackson, who had this career year out of nowhere, having started the season at safety, transitioned to corner, played really surprisingly and incredibly well at corner. Not in this game.
No.
He got exposed pretty badly by T.Y. Hilton and others, and was a major problem. So this is going to be tricky because this is the black and white world we live in, Steve, and you can't say one thing without going in direct opposition of the other. But the love surrounding Quentin Nelson is beginning to get a little bit nauseating. Yeah. He was good in this game. Not amazing, spectacular, mind-blowing because one play he buried Jadeveon Clowney. Like, he actually got given a performer of the weekend on, like, at halftime of Sunday Night Football by Rodney Harrison or Tony Dungy, one of those guys, because the Colts didn't allow a sack, which is, all Quentin Nelson. On everybody, not Quentin Nelson. They rushed for 200 yards, again, kind of on everyone, not just Quentin Nelson. And on this one highlight play, he buried Jadeveon Clowney. Like, look, he's good, he's talented, and he loves himself a teabagging. But I think the more impressive performance from a rookie in this game on the offensive line was from Braden Smith, who went one-on-one with J.J. Watt most of the game and did give up some pressure. But now in 2 games against Watt this season, both in the last, 6 weeks, Braden Smith has allowed 1 sack, 1 hit, and 3 hurries, which is a really good performance against J.J. Watt by anybody, let alone a rookie right tackle who was a guard in college.
That's been one of the real stories of the season when you think about the Colts offensive line and how they've improved. Mark Glowinski at the other guard spot has improved. Quentin Nelson got named first-team All-Pro. So I just want to congratulate him for making All-Pro for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Because it's automatic now.
It is.
He's going to have it. And you're right. It's tough to...
We could have had 10 minutes on the All-Pro system to kick this podcast off. That would have been fun.
Maybe we'll do a whole separate video discussion. Maybe on the couch.
Bonus.
Get on the couch.
Bonus
show. We could have a bonus podcast. See if people want
ranting about the All-Pro list.
Yes,
we could do a good rant about the All-Pro
because we have been in contact with the All-Pro people. We've tried to help them. We've tried to resolve the issues.
And by the way, this isn't us here patronizingly take our help. You're so obviously in need of it. This is All-Pro voters coming to us and saying, please help us,
right?
Because we are currently unable to determine where players play.
Because
we need your help to give a final say.
The final output is just silly.
Yeah,
having guys on multiple positions.
Anyway, bonus show. We'll
talk about the All-Pro. But so look, Quentin Nelson's really good, but it's kind of what happens. I do feel like we've helped bridge the gap a little bit, where people didn't used to be able to talk about offensive line play, and we've been able to add some context to it. But when you get a guy like Quentin Nelson, we love Quentin Nelson. We're trying to be nuanced here.
Yes, this is what I'm saying. He played
him.
Well. Just, come on. Let's rein it in a little bit. He was not the best player in the game. He was not the one guy you should be singling out from that performance.
Andrew Luck was... I was just looking at the stats, because sometimes I don't even look at the stats. Sometimes I just look... I watch the game, I look at the grades, and I'm like, all right, yeah, that matches up with what I saw. Andrew Luck was spectacular. This is actually the first time I looked at his stats that didn't look that great. He had a batted pass for an interception, only 2 touchdowns, completed 19 of 32, but just made some spectacular throws, including, again, that corner route under pressure, late in the game to kind of seal the deal when they needed it. But it was like Luck faced pressure early in the game. So part of the offensive line looking good and not giving up a sack was Luck handling pressure extremely well early in the game. Those are those examples of him breaking out of the pocket. Early in the game, he made a couple nice throws there. So only went 2 for 7 under pressure, but for 54 yards, so including one of those big passes.
Speaking of random stats that you just didn't know happened until you looked at it, did you know that Ben Roethlisberger passed for almost 5,200 yards this season?
So I had seen that, yeah, because I was keeping up with the basic.
2 guys went over 5,000 this year.
Yeah.
Him and Mahomes.
Yeah, Roethlisberger, we talked about him last week, but just a random year of high variance for Big Ben. Let's discuss the other side of the ball here. Deshaun Watson against this Colts defense, because part of my takeaway coming in to this game was look at the AFC, look at the future of the quarterback position. But Watson, we mentioned coming in too, had some high-end games. If you put his high-end games against Andrew Luck and Patrick Mahomes and anyone else in the league, he was up there this year, but his low-end games were much lower than any of the top guys. No one in our top 5 or 8 quarterbacks had games as bad as Watson, and he was on the bad end of things.
Yeah, I mean,
on Saturday.
This is, again, not to pat myself on the back too much, but we said that this offense had been Deshaun Watson to Nuke Hopkins and nothing else, and that should not be enough to win games, particularly if you're actually going to try and take that away, which is basically what the Colts did. Huge credit to Pierre Desir, who himself has had another one of those random career years out of nowhere, kind of like Kareem Jackson, only this one sustained itself in the playoffs. Pierre Desir was the guy that was one-on-one with Nuke Hopkins for a lot of this game and actually won. Often when you have one-on-one wide receiver cornerback matchups, it's something of a wash and could go either way. I would say Pierre Desir comfortably won this encounter one-on-one with Hopkins, which probably nobody other than him has done this season. Jalen Ramsey and Hopkins have gone back and forth. I think you could call those ones a wash or, a win for both guys depending on which point in the game. But Pierre Desir won this encounter, and when you did take away that connection, the Colts still didn't, or the Texans still had nothing else. It was those two. It basically forced Watson to the only plays he could make were with his legs, were running, and that's just not enough. So it was exactly what we said, that if you only have one thing in your offense and that one thing gets taken away, you need something else. And if you don't have it,
it was all Tampa too.
Over. Yeah, it was Pierre Desir.
Yeah, he did a great job. Played really well. So yeah, the Colts defensively have really come a long way. And to just be clear too, people are like, Tampa 2 defense is back and all this stuff. These were the 2 highest cover 2/Tampa 2 defenses in the NFL, but even a high percentage cover 2 defense plays it about 30% of the time. So it's not you're out there just playing soft zone all of the time. I thought the Colts did do a nice job of mixing it up. I do think the best defenses are doing a nice job of kind of crowding the line of scrimmage a little bit, creating a little bit of indecision for the offense. Is there going to be, even if they don't blitz a lot, there's the disguise of a blitz. I thought the Colts did that pretty well. And yeah, I think we've said, look, Watson's going to be scary, I think, when you get more people around him.
Yeah, and by the way, that number you mentioned for the cover 2 thing, Tampa 2 thing, that's not even a Tampa 2 specific thing. Most teams don't play any coverage more than about 30% of the time.
Yeah, right.
Like if there's one takeaway from sort of modern NFL coverages is that everybody is running a lot of things. Yeah. Nobody is running one thing every single down. Again, that's back to what we said about balance. Balance is the ability to keep the opposition from knowing exactly what it is you're showing them every play.
Right.
Like if a team, doesn't matter what the coverage is, whether it's cover 1, cover 3, cover 2, cover 4, if you're running one thing every single play, everybody knows how to beat it. You need to change up what you're doing, and that's what everybody's doing. So the Colts run more Tampa 2/cover 2 than pretty much anybody else. And there are other teams that run cover 3, cover 1, whatever, more than anybody else. By the way, for anyone that doesn't know, the difference between Tampa 2 and cover 2 is pretty minimal. It's the same coverage, essentially, only when this defense was really prevalent back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tony Dungy, they realized that one of the biggest holes in this defense was the gap between the two safeties.
Yeah, the deep middle.
Right. They developed this wrinkle where the middle linebacker essentially had to drop really deep, split those two safeties, allow those guys to play wider, and the middle linebacker was the guy that essentially occupied that gap in the middle that had been a problem before that. So it's essentially the same defense, just with a little bit of a modification in there.
So if I could sum up the story of the game here, just looking at our numbers and grades, Andrew Luck, passing grade of 92.3. Deshaun Watson, passing grade of 44.8.
Look good, Watson bad.
Yes, and more specifically, Andrew Luck with 5 big-time throws, no turnover-worthy throws, because that batted pass, as we say, is not a batted pass gets intercepted 3% of the time. So it's not a turnover-worthy play. But Deshaun Watson, let me finish, Sam. I know you're just itching to say something.
I'm just, as long as you're going to go off about, crazy, stupid things people are saying.
Oh, is there more?
Oh, yeah, there's more.
Okay, one more. Well, let me just finish my thought real quick. I'll let you go. People think we hate each other, but we're good friends. We're good friends off camera here most of the time. Deshaun Watson, no big-time throws. 2 turnover-worthy throws, including that terrible one on 4th down. The Texans, this game's not as bad if they convert a couple of those early first downs that they're going for, but one of them, Watson completely misreads the coverage, throws it right to a linebacker on 4th down. I mean, there was just some bad 4th down plays for the Texans, too, that made this probably feel a little bit worse as well.
So another one of another boogerism, as we're going to start calling them, or at least I am right now. Booger was upset that J.J. Watt batted a pass down because it's not his job as a pass rusher to do that, even though one of them actually ended up as an interception, and the other one obviously is a good play anyway. Yes. I wish I had the exact quote. I can't find it right now. But, yeah, he was basically upset that J.J. Watt batted a pass at the line.
And you can't even contain yourself now.
No.
Well, we're on the numbers on batted passes because I'm pretty sure
to check if they're good.
Something like 2% of them are completed as passes. 3% of them turn into interceptions.
Yeah.
And then the 94% of them fall incomplete, which most of the time for the defense is considered a win.
I think that's worse than it doesn't matter. The yardage is a bonus. Just keep pounding the rock. I think J.J. Watt shouldn't be batting that ball because it's not his job is actually a worse comment than the other one.